We were already able to extract data from Google Analytics. Now we have to clean this data. Let's write a new data cleaning function. Copy the top part of another function that entails the name, parameters, and description. Change the name of the function to something like clean extracted data totals. There are going to be two functions that we need to write. One that cleans the totals and one that cleans the details of the extracted data. Also, change the description and the parameters and the output of the function. The first input into the cleaning function is our dictionary as seen below, and we are calling that dictionary dict data. The first function we are writing cleans or extracts the values of the totals from our dictionary. Thus, we are trying to get the total values with the metrics in a table. Let's start coding this function. First, create an index. The index is the row description of the values. Initialize an empty list called index, and then run a for loop for the numbers in an enumerating list that includes the metrics names. If you follow the path in that line, you can find the list. First, you access the reports, then we have to access the list with a 0. Then the column header. Within the column header, we have to access the metric header. And within the metric header dictionary, we have to access the metric header entries. The metric header entries is a list with dictionaries that have the name and type of the metric. So in the for loop, we add the metric names to the index list. To access each metric name, we use the number and the name key. We could, of course, also just hard code these metrics without the for loop. But this way, if you have different metrics, you can still use this code and you are more flexible. Then we also need to define the ISO year and week, which would be our column title. We can use the ISO calendar method to transform our date to these two values. We have our index and column titles. What is left to get is the values for our table. We can do this in the return part, where the function will then return a Pandas DataFrame based on our input data. Thus, we initialize a Pandas DataFrame with the totals data in the dictionary. We know how to do this. We access the reports first, then access the list, then the data section, and then we have to go to the totals. And finally, in the totals, we have to access the list where the values are. And then we have to access the values. This is our data. Let's add the index, which is just our variable index, and the column header, which would be the ISO year and week. We can use format, which is a string inserting method. This should do the trick. Let's test it. Write the function name and copy our dictionary data that does not use segmentation as the first parameter of the function. Add the starting date as the second parameter into the function and run it. Use Control Command Enter, and you can see we get a clean Pandas DataFrame with our totals of impressions, clicks, and costs for the 31st week in 2017, according to the dictionary data.